All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Thursday Roundtable. Very excited about today's guests and today's show. We're talking about transformation, right? Who doesn't want that? Especially through the tumultuous couple of years we've had over the past 2 years. And many of you have asked about, what ways we can talk about ways we can make things better, solutions. And so I've got a great crowd in front of me. I'm very excited about this show. We have actually been able to partner up with this organization who's doing great work out in New York City. I've been out there twice actually to visit them since then. It's been a great joy. They're doing a lot of things to help the community. Those of you who are just now signing in, let us know what city or state you're signing in from or what country. I know sometimes we have some folks coming from South Africa, guys. We have folks coming in from all over the world who will watch the show. But I'm going to go at the top here. Let's see. I have to kind of do it opposite here. So to my right here, I'm going to start there and I'm going to go down. So first we have Miss Mirta Fieffe. She is the Director of Operations at SUS, Services for the Underserved, which serves the New York City as well as the 5 boroughs. Welcome to the show, Mirta.
Hi, Rollis. Hello, everybody. Hi.
Awesome. And then we have the great Michelle Emmons, Belnavis. Welcome to the show. She is the Senior VP of HR at SUS.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us, Rollis. We're really excited about the show. And thank you for all of you who joined the show today. We appreciate it.
Me too. This is going to be incredibly informative, guys. Even if you're not in HR, I think just learning from the process of any kind of big initiative that you're going to have, any kind of big reboot, if you will, you're going to learn some lessons just for watching this crew, what they're going to talk to us about. And then on the second row, just below me, right here, okay, we have Aaron Palmer. Aaron Palmer is the Vice President of Evaluation, Practice, and Innovation. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, especially as a non-HR person. I feel honored to be part of the HR team.
There we go. See, so that's enough. All the more reason, folks. Even if you're not in HR, please keep watching. And then we have Miss Neetu Makhijani. Welcome to the show. You're muted, by the way. And by the way, while you're muted, she's the HR business partner at SUS. Welcome to the show.
Good catch. Thank you for giving everyone my title. Great to be here. And thank you, Rollis, for hosting us.
That's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you for sure. And then we also have, let's see, it's kind of like this way. Here we go. Down there, over there, we have Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Yes, Anthony Hernandez. I want to make sure I said that right. Anthony Hernandez. He is a manager of talent acquisition, correct?
That is correct.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be amongst our group of professionals and panel here. So just thank you for giving me this opportunity to share amongst the team.
Absolutely. And last but not least, down this way, let's see, that way, there we go, is Miss Gurveen Vohra. She is the Director of Talent Acquisition at SUS. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us, Rollis, and happy to be here. Looking forward to some great discussions today. Thank you.
Awesome. Guys, again, let us know who are just now signing in, where you're coming in from. I'm just going to briefly look at the comments and we'll get right into our discussion. Lots of folks coming in here. Maybe you know some of these names. I'll read them off, guys. So we have Phyllis Jackson. She's watching from New York City. We have Rachel. She says, hello there, Joe. I'm in Medford. So Medford, we have Medford coming in. Brian Hudson, we have him coming in from St. Pete. Good to see you again, Brian. Let's see here. We also have, Rachel says Oregon, Miss Medford, Oregon. Melinda Bonner from New York City. We have Brett Longo from New York City. Wow, that's awesome. Got some more New York City folks coming in today. We also have Danielle Maria Piavera from Forma Italiana. Hey, we got Italy here today. Excellent. That's wonderful. Alexis Gazlani, she's here today. Welcome. All right, and Farrah's here from Jersey. That's awesome. Okay, we got lots of folks coming in. Thank you for your comments, and we want to hear your feedback as we go on. We're going to be reading your comments. So if you have questions, comments, feedback, attaboys, whatever you want to do during it, and we'll try and get to as many of those as we can. So I want you to set the stage for us, Michelle, because there was a need, obviously, to make some changes. And tell us the backdrop or the backstory as to how we got to the point of even making some big changes.
Oh, sure. Well, Rollis, we were actually very privileged to have a change in leadership at the beginning of this year. I think more specifically sometime in March or April. And so our leader is Dr. George Petit. He's actually a psychiatrist by discipline. And he has taken on the role of president and CEO of Services for the Underserved. So once he came on board, one of the first things he did is that he began to journey around. We have a lot of different programs scattered across 5 boroughs. So one of the things that he did was that he started to visit the different locations and listen to people. What were some of the things that were working very well and where there were opportunities for change. And he got some common themes. One of them happened to be HR, some things that, there were some opportunities for enhancement with HR and the services that we provided. And as a result of that, we kicked off a meeting, which he actually created a term, the HR 2.0 reboot.
Nice.
Yeah, so that really energized all of us. And guys, of course, chime in, because everyone who's sitting here, except for Mirta, who's recently joined the team, we're privileged to be a part of that session. So we invited stakeholders across the organization, including our leaders and midline leaders, and also some frontline staff as well, to a session where we had people really do a report out on what was really some of the nuances that they were facing. And some of the common themes that we walked away with have to do with our 4 pillars. So we decided, let's create these 4 pillars. We have a model really that includes the 4 pillars, which are really talent acquisition, focusing on our talent acquisition experience, also our engagement. Of course, without our employee engagement, it's just not going to be successful. Also development, So development was a common theme we heard from the audience, as well as well-being, which we know everyone, across the country is talking about well-being for staff. So that's really the genesis of the 4 pillars. And we are hopeful that with all of, the 4 pillars combining their efforts, we would really have a change and a transformation of our employee engagement and our employee culture. So that's really how that came about.
Love that. Okay, and then so I'm going to just bring it up on the screen. This is one thing that you sent me earlier, and it kind of helps us visually to see what those 4 pillars are, and it all relates back to the employee experience. So I love that. So we're going to just if those who are watching, we're going to discuss all 4 of these pillars. That's why we have so many people involved in the discussion: talent acquisition, engagement, development, and wellness. So you know what? Talent is at the top here. I think I want to kind of just jump into that first. Let's talk about talent for a bit here. But actually, before we do that, I wanted to ask one thing to Mirta, because Mirta, you've been with the organization for a relatively short period of time, but it just seems like you've just been there forever. And so how was it for you coming in new into the organization, into the HR team? Just briefly tell me what your experiences was like, because that's going to kind of relate to our talent acquisition conversation, which I'm going to get with Anthony and Gurveen on.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, I came from a much larger health system. So coming at SUS and understanding what the objectives are, what the goal for social justice and helping out our community. At first, I want to say thank you for everybody on this panel and our senior VP who actually hired me. I've been learning. The onboarding process, I could say, was a great experience from what I've experienced. It helped in a sense. I had clear communications from the recruiters, clear communications from the recruiting onboarders, clear communications from HR. So that experience, I could say, if I were to fill out a survey, I would say was positive. And I know we're going to go into more of the 30, 60, 90 days. So I would say my first 30 days was positive. I've now reached the 60 days milestone. I could say I've learned a lot about the organization. I've learned a lot about what we're doing in the community. I've met pretty much a lot of people from the support services group, because I interact with them all the time as far as work. And from an HR perspective, we're really transforming human resources, which we're going to delve into more in this conversation. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And just to remind us, you know what, I want to do one more thing to remind us, because I remember Neetu, we were going to have you just briefly recap the 4, and then we're going to go talent acquisition. So go for it.
Sure. So piggybacking off of what Mirta and Michelle said, we have these 4 pillars that were created by a focus group session that Dr. Petit, our new CEO, ran. And the 4 pillars that we are all kind of working on in different ways are wellness, talent acquisition, engagement, and development.
Very good. Okay, so Anthony and Gurveen, you guys had some really cool things to share about some of the things you're doing with talent acquisition. I think Gurveen, you had a point you wanted to mention that had to do with promoting from within. I'd love to hear about that. In fact, I've actually seen some of that actually happen, but yes, please.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. Absolutely. And, just like what Neetu mentioned, the focus really is employee experience here, and the goal is to promote from within. And at SUS, we've seen live, live testaments of that. There are success stories to share. We provide succession planning, training, and development opportunities, either in-house or external opportunities as well. And SUS is very much open. There's an open door policy. Leadership is very much involved in training and development of staff. And we do believe we promote that culture of promoting from within. So that's something that I would like to highlight about that. Just what Neetu mentioned as well about the 4 pillars, community partnerships are instrumental as well. The goal is not just to fill positions, but to also not just fill positions with people who are looking for a job, but who also believe in the job that they're applying for. So that is really our focus, employee experience and the people we serve.
Love that. Love that. And I know you've also been working quite a bit with partnerships on your end, Anthony, trying to develop those. Can you tell us about some of the things you've been doing recently over the past several months to help with that?
And it's been an exciting run to be able to promote SUS brand and the organization as a whole to the communities that we service and that our programs are situated in. So between outreach efforts with workforce development, community-based organizations, city, schools, universities, we're creating that brand awareness to identify those next leaders that we look for the future, especially for the programs and the tenants and residents that can best service and receive services from them.
Absolutely. And the one that I'm the most familiar with as far as promoting within, I'm sure there's probably other examples, but I'm very familiar with Gurveen. She has been promoted recently. And so congratulations as the new director of talent acquisition to Gurveen. So that's just one example. I don't know, first impressions on that, Gurveen, being in that role now. Okay, there we go. Can you still hear me, Gurveen? Are you there? I can see you. Okay, so we'll come back to you, Gurveen. I'm not sure why we lost the sound on you. Okay, I want to touch base on a couple of other topics we're going to talk about, which has to do with well-being. And I'm going to come back to, because I know Michelle's got some comments on talent acquisition. Well-being, we've got Erin Palmer. She's here. She's not actually in HR, but she definitely does things that affect those who work at SUS. So we're glad to have you on today. What is it that's important to you about making sure that well-being is at the optimum level, and what changes did you see needed to be made in order to make things better?
What I thought was so interesting when we started talking about this in this initial brainstorming meeting was that everybody defined wellness as a bit different a thing, and that we as an agency should be addressing all aspects of wellness, whether that be physical, emotional, financial well-being, that was equally important and was going to engage different people in different ways. So we had a very, very active work group. Couldn't get a word in these work groups. Everybody had so many ideas, but it really spoke to the need to concentrate on this and to make sure that we could commit to it. And some of the things, it was a really great balance of both, HR professionals as well as program leadership and support staff and people who think with a kind of a data brain and program development brain like I do, of how we could make some changes really quickly to what we were doing and some longer term things that we could do, including, and Michelle could speak more right to it, of how we were able then to change our health insurance to have a more robust wellness package that we could provide to people. And what we even realized in the feedback in the wellness group and others was people wanting more information about, gym discounts or other things that we actually had, but just needed to do a better job communicating. So we were able to quickly create, maybe not so quickly, but we're able to create a robust, landing page of all the benefits that are available to people and how, and just really, I think, the listening aspect. People felt engaged and listened to, and that we're taking their wellness beyond saying, take a day when you need it, in a more holistic way to how we could approach wellness as an agency.
Oh, I like that, because sometimes employees may have the guilt factor coming in, like, oh, I don't want to take off work right now. We got this big project going on, but at the same time, my family needs me over here. It's like, what am I going to do? So that's really cool. So how have you all addressed that in terms of kind of helping folks to feel comfortable to go ahead and take that time off? Does someone want to speak to that? I don't know if Aaron, if you want to speak more of that, or someone else want to volunteer to speak on that. That's a big challenge I've heard on the show many times.
I can chime in.
Sure.
So, well, we have a very attractive benefits package, number one. And, with the pandemic, with COVID and everything else, we've really been encouraging and been accepting to people taking time off. We want to make sure that people, they feel valued. We want to make sure that they're actually arrested to do what they have to do. So, our managers are charged with making sure that, their frontline staff have the time to take off. We also do share a lot of articles and information about well-being. We have an EAP program like most people do. We are really trying to utilize that even more, because sometimes, it's the little things that count, right? A lot of the times employees are not really aware of the benefits that they have, and really communicating that information with them on a consistent basis is what really, really counts. So our organization and our senior leadership, it's really huge on communication. Our CEO sends out communication, I can tell you, so frequently, and he keeps everyone abreast in terms of what's going on. And the way he communicates also, it's very fluid. It's not so robust that you feel, oh my God, this is really like something that's so important. But he just, he talks to you like he's just having a conversation with anyone. And that really helps people to respond back and to share their ideas as well. I have to tell you that the work groups that have been formulated with these pillars have been really, really profound in the terms of the way they approach things. They're coming up, they're listening to the staff, and they're coming up with recommendations that are in alignment with what the staff wants. And that's what's really critical. And as Erin said, the simple thing as how do you communicate your benefits to your staff? Sometimes we underestimate that. It's really, really very critical. So we listen to staff saying, we don't understand our benefits. We want to understand them. So our benefits team, we have a fantastic benefits team, and they worked very closely with our carriers to formulate communication that's very simplified. We even went so far as to changing some of our plans so that, they're more receptive, and the employees, it's easier for them to utilize. So again, it's just the little things that employees really accept and appreciate. We also we're telling our story about this journey because it's a transformation and it's not overnight, right? It takes time. So we're telling the story via what's called our HR voice. It's an HR communication, and we partner up with people like Erin and different leaders in the organization to communicate information that's critical to the staff. Things that are happening in real time, we want to tell them in real time. We want to be very transparent. So these are just the simple things that employees are appreciating, and it's really helping them to feel more engaged. And, they're seeing the change, they're seeing the transformation, and we're happy. We're excited. HR is really excited about the things that we're doing, and we're just, we just want to continue to do what we're doing. And the other thing I just want to highlight with the work groups is that the membership, we have executive sponsors. So we have an executive team member from our executive cabinet who actually champions each of the work group. That support is really, really helpful because, again, we have gotten all the resources pretty much to do the work that we really want to do, which I think is really important. You really have to have leadership who has the buy-in and who's really interested in giving you the level of support that you need. So that has really been fantastic for us in HR.
Oh, I love that. So those who are watching, let's have you put your employee hat on. Out of the things that you've heard so far, which ones resonate more with you? What's been more impactful for you that you've heard so far in our discussion? I would love to see that in the comments. And I also have a fun question. I did want to follow up also about some other things you've been doing in talent acquisition, which I thought was very interesting. But before we get into that, I do have a fun question. Who wants to pick the question? You want a would you rather or open-ended? Mirta's ready to go.
No, Rollis, I hope you don't ask, why would I ask my younger self?
You don't want me to ask you that? By the way, I don't want to ignore some folks who just came in. I didn't say earlier. Melanie Eisenberg from New York City, welcome. We have Stephanie Estrada from Florida. We also have Phyllis Jackson who said, congratulations, Gurveen. That's awesome. Maybe Gurveen, did you hear me? I don't see Gurveen on here.
She's having some technical difficulty.
Okay, when she comes back, we'll mention it to her. Please don't let me forget that. Phyllis says, she says, very happy to be here. She says, SUS is doing amazing work, and it's interesting to hear from some of the folks at the helm. And Brett says, great insight, Michelle. I do want to touch base on that because folks who aren't familiar with SUS, they aren't from your area, they may not know some of the work that you're doing. So who would like to speak about the work that you're doing for the community so they get a better idea of the base of the services that the organization provides? Just kind of a synopsis of that.
Erin, do you want to take that question?
I had a feeling that was going to come to me. So we serve about 35,000 people in New York City in a range of services, from supportive housing for people with behavioral health challenges to shelters for people who are housing insecure. We have a portfolio of housing and day supports for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We have a growing sector of outpatient and outreach programs to people who are either living outside of a home, who have severe mental illness or substance use challenges, that we really work in a person-centered approach to serving an individual and a community. And yeah, we're in all 5 boroughs in Long Island and continue to grow, which is why our HR department is so important, because we continually need more and more people. And we take, a very different route to, I think, employment. We have a lot of people with lived experience, i.e. someone who's potentially been homeless themselves or has firsthand experience with the behavioral health system. So it's really important to the dynamic of our workforce.
Yes, very good. Okay, so Gurveen, I wanted to make sure you heard this. Phyllis Jackson says, congratulations, Gurveen. Did you hear that? Did you say sideways again? Oh boy. Well, so sorry, Gurveen. Well, just know that our well wishes are with you. We're all with you on that. Alexis chimed in. She said, services for the underserved drives scalable solutions to transform the lives of people with disabilities, people in poverty, people facing homelessness. I like the way that she says that, people facing homelessness. Or like you said, Aaron, people who have experienced homelessness. Words matter, right? Solutions that contribute to righting societal imbalances. I do want to speak back to that for a second. I know I keep getting sidetracked, but I think this is important for us to mention, is how important words are and how important it is to the residents, the people that you serve in the community. Michelle, I think you said it so well whenever I met with you one-on-one at our last session. Can you just speak to that for a bit? And then I want to come back to the promoting within once Gurveen gets her phone situated there.
Well, I mean, and thank you so much, Alexis, for joining in. Alexis is our director for marketing and communication, and she's such a fantastic addition to our team.
Yes.
So our organization, really and truly, we are on a mission to eradicate anything that's not social justice. We are fighting for social justice. We believe that every New Yorker deserves the best, right? Whether it relates to access to healthcare, whether it relates to access to housing, whether it relates to taking care of people with mental health. Erin talked about we have people with intellectual disabilities. So we want to right-size that. We want to make sure that everyone has a roof over their heads. We want to make sure that people have access to care. And that's really what our journey is. Anything to do with just fighting for social justice, that's what we're involved in.
Absolutely. And also, I remember one thing too that stood out for me from our conversation is that the residents or those who have faced these things, they don't want to feel like they're in an institution. They want to feel like it's something that's personalized to them. So, Neetu, I know you had some thoughts on that as well. Can you give me your thoughts as to why that's important?
So I'm one of the HR business partners, and I specifically support shelters. But the reason that I say that is to say that the people who go into the shelters do often feel like it is a prison. And you don't want to do that. So a lot of the work that we've been doing in the shelter system, so to speak, is to kind of make them not feel like a shelter, to sort of add color, right? In Renaissance, which is in Brooklyn, which is one of our shelters, they added bright colors to each of the floors so that you can have a bit more of a feeling like you're not in a prison. In one of our other shelters, in one of our DV shelters, they added a whole rec room so that the kids can have a nice place to go to. Even though they're in a shelter, they now have some place that they can go to where they feel safe doing activities and all of that stuff. So across the organization, there are a lot of things like that happening. We have an urban farms initiatives, and that's sort of being folded into a lot of like the other programs that we have. It's just really important, I think, when people are in those situations, to make them feel valued, to make them feel safe, to make them feel like they are respected despite what they're dealing with.
Yes, absolutely. And because you have those, in this case, I mean, there's a business attached to this, right? You have to have that in order to keep things going. So to know the value that the organization is bringing to the community and the business side, how important is that to line that up with the HR concerns? Maybe you can speak to that first, Michelle, and then we can kind of come back to that. And it looks like Gurveen's okay. Good. Gurveen, can you hear us? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so Gurveen, we want to make sure you heard this. You got a congratulations from Phyllis Jackson. She says congratulations on your promotion. Did you hear that? Okay, good. The other times
she's muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Thank you so much. I heard it now.
So I want to actually go back to talent acquisition now again. So promoting from within, you're a walking example of that. Can you walk me through the importance of the organization in terms of how they look at internal candidates? Because sometimes you may have a situation where an internal candidate is looking for a certain position in the organization, but then you also have, because you have to post it, you've got these applications that are coming in left and right. How do you manage, what's your thought process on how do you manage who it is is going to be on the running for that particular position to make sure that the internal folks who are applying and may not always get hired, that they still feel like they're part of the process and they're given a fair shake?
Absolutely. In fact, we had an incident today. This morning, I was facilitating another meeting with finance, and the topic of expansion came up. And I don't know if everybody on the team knows, but we have 4 other large magnitude residential units coming up. A couple of them 175 units, and one of them is 2,500 units coming up in Brooklyn. And that's huge expansion and development for SUS. And of course, we need staff to house those residential units. And what better than either promoting from within or hiring employee referrals? I always say that there is no rocket science to recruitment and retention. Our referrals bring in the best candidates, and promoting from within. And that's a sure shot recipe for retention as well. So identifying where people believe they would like to be, carving that career path for them, succession planning, opening the platform and channels for training and development is crucial. And that ultimately leads to retention. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. That helps a lot.
If I can add also,
Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can also add, I would like to ask Neetu to speak to one of the interventions actually that they're working on the development pillar, which has to do with what Gurveen is talking about, internal mobility. And Neetu, if you want to talk about your independent development plans that we're going to be instituting with for employees to be able to pretty much map out their trajectory of their career path at SUS.
Sure.
Neetu, before you do that though, it is water break time. Do you have your water?
Mine is sparkling water.
Okay. Everybody who's watching, make sure you take your water break. Keep hydrated, okay? It keeps the mind going. Great stuff. Guys, in the comments, I still would like to see what it is you've heard so far that resonated with you the most. And then Neetu, we're going to ask you a fun question too, but I want you to answer Michelle's serious question first. So go for it.
So the way that we have these 4 pillars structured, I'm sort of helping to lead off some of the things that we're doing in terms of development. And we're working, which is going to take some time, on creating career paths to speak to Gurveen's point to everybody. One of the short-term things that we're doing, and I think a lot of people out there know this, having kind of not a full career path, but kind of having an idea of like where you want to be when you first start in an organization is super helpful for everyone, because you want to know, is this the right place for me? Can I see myself here 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? And so what we're doing in the short term until we kind of map out what our career paths and everything look like is we're rolling out sometime, hopefully in the upcoming new year, an actual career development forum. So a new hire will kind of be able to walk in, and not even just a new hire, somebody who maybe want to move to a different position laterally, someone who may think that the position they're in is not the right fit for them, someone who may want to move up. So we're sort of like using a forum, and we're going to start to map out what they want to see themselves in terms of what they want to do, skill sets, training and development opportunities, and things that are needed for them to get from that point A to point B.
I love that. That's so great to be intentional about development, which I know is one of your four pillars in that way. So from the very time that you're hiring them, you're already having these discussions.
Correct.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, so we have a fun question. So Neetu, you can decide: do you want it to be an open-ended question or a would you rather question?
Open-ended.
Open-ended. And by the way, Rachel, we'll put her up here. Rachel says communication is so important for engagement. Without consistent communication and encouragement around benefits, they sometimes don't remember they have or utilize them. So that was back to Erin's point that she mentioned earlier about a lot of folks didn't know they had certain benefits. So yeah, I do want to actually explore that some more after we get through with our fun question. Okay. All right. So our open-ended question is going to be, let's see if I can get a good one for her. Okay. Let me ask you this. So what's your favorite way to like waste time? Like if you just got some extra time, you just want to kind of just reset and just kind of get your mind off work for a little bit. What's your favorite way of doing that? Whether you're winding down the evening, whatever the case is.
That's an easy one for me. You gave me a really easy one. As everyone can tell behind me, I love the holidays and I love that time of the year. So one of the hobbies that I have outside of work is baking cookies. Started when I was in college because it was a nice stress. It's actually a stress reliever for me. So like I do something, I feel like, okay, I accomplished something. You decorate them. It's just a fun way for me to like actually get into not thinking about work or not thinking about any of the outside stuff, but just focusing on something that's for me and that I get to give to people, which I enjoy doing. So
I love that. That sounds incredibly productive though. In fact, maybe in January and February, I think I'm going to need some chocolate chip cookies really bad. So you can help me out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll ship them to you.
That sounds or either ship them to me or I might need to come up there, right, and get them myself. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, how about you? Mirta, what's your favorite way?
I usually lay down and look at the ceiling.
Oh, wow. Okay. A good way to conserve energy too.
Yeah, I'm more of an introvert, so yeah, anything that will give me quiet time, I would appreciate. It's just that staring at nothing. If I had a house that have a skylight or anything, I would just look at the sky, look at the stars. We are in New York City, so we cannot be out in the cold. So I don't get the opportunity to look at the sky. Maybe you see something flying, you never know. But I just like to stare at open space and care for nothing. When I say care for nothing, I mean, I don't want my family members to hear me, but care for nothing.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned it this way because both of you are starkly different. One is, okay, to relax, waste time, what have you. I'm going to be busy making some cookies, which is work, right? Some people, they do that for a living. She's doing stuff. And then Mirta's like sitting back, okay, she's looking at the sky, which it shows how people we choose to spend our free time in different ways. So you guys, that was awesome the way you're on both ends of the spectrum there. Guys in the comments, let me know what you think. What do you do when you're trying to unwind, waste time, whatever the case is? What do you do for that? What floats your boat? Okay. I also want you to answer, Mirta. You've been doing a lot of work on analysis and just kind of, seeing how the numbers work. How do you manage the people aspect? Because I know you're a nice person too, because I had to work with you on a project with the websites. How do you manage that part of being nice with the cold hard numbers part? I mean, how do you manage that? I'm curious.
If I were to give background about me, I'm a project manager at heart. So I approach everything in life as project management. This is a project, and we're gonna start it and we're gonna finish it. That's just my approach to everything.
Okay.
So being in human resources, you have to also be a people person. And by being a people person, for me, people could say I'm a great listener. So I actually listen to people speak, what their problems are. Remember, I'm a project manager, how we're gonna solve that problem, and then close it out, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I'm always solving a problem. So that's how I approach people, I approach life, I approach everything. But to do that, to make good decisions, you need data. So as part of the HR transformation, we're collecting data during the transformation so we can analyze the data and then have discussions around the data, crunch the data, and then later on make a decision with the data. One aspect of that is like the survey results. Neetu probably will speak more about that later on. I'm a new hire. I got a survey 30, 60 days, 90 days, how that's progressing. So once you get the results, you have to act on the results. Many times we ask employees to complete a survey and we don't do anything with the survey results. And by not doing anything, I mean, they don't hear back from us. So employees want to hear, I provided you with this information. That's the data. That's the information we collected, what we did with it. So that's what we're analyzing on the back end and then serve it back to them. I hear you. On the HR voice, we always conclude the HR voice, we are listening. Saying we are listening means this is what I've done with the information, the feedback that you provided to me. Those are the actions taken. And another thing we're very close partnering with IT. One thing I didn't say about my background, I love technology. So we're partnering with IT and workforce management to leverage technology, like process optimization. I can talk on and on, but I just know to say we're not only collecting the data on the front end during the transformation and then after the transformation. Thank you.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, now here's the thing though. Some of the folks who are watching are going to be wondering, okay, like what kind of numbers are you actually collecting? Like give me some examples of types of numbers that you're collecting to help in this transformation. I'd love to hear that.
Oh, okay, let me talk about process optimization for a moment. I'm in HR operations, as we did during the introductions. So as part of process optimization is to do HR efficiencies or HR effectiveness. So with the efficiency part, again, partnering with IT, we are now on a CRM, a customer relationship management platform. So what that allows us to do, we're getting inquiries to that CRM, and then we're answering people in a timely manner. So how would define timely manner? Certain questions may take 3 days, others may take 5 days, other questions may take 7 days. If it's an audit, it's less than 24 hours. So that's how you define, you have a definition for your service level agreement. And what we do, we have different categories. So when you're running a report, you could see how long did it take me to answer employee relations questions. That's more of the Neetu wheelhouse. How long did it take time to fill? We're not capturing recruitment on the CRM at the moment, but if I get a talent question, like coming to my department, how long did it take me to answer that person? And for recruitment that's doing their metrics on the side, time to fill is an important metric for talent and acquisition. I post the job, how long it take candidates to like reply to the posting, how long it take us to like interview those candidates and have a candidate start. So time to fill metric is one important metric like recruitment can consider. For HR operation and as far as effectiveness, our HR policies, we have a lot of policies in HR. So when we answering employee inquiries, did we provide them with the right answer? If not, this is where data will come in. What type of training will our HR employees need? If not the HR employees, what do we need to automate? We go to IT, we say we need to automate this because we're getting too many inquiries about the same topic. We just want a macro and then all those things. So it's like having reporting, using Michelle as an example, she just can click on the tool, the CRM, and say, I want to know how many photo IDs will process this cycle, a quarter, the whole year, click a button, and then she got the data. Thank you.
I love the sound effect too. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm curious. Okay, now from your standpoint, Aaron, you're not in HR, but you're working with HR. Hearing that type of level of analysis of how quickly they're addressing concerns, how are you taking the information when you hear that? How does it affect you?
Well, yeah, data and evaluation is my background, so it's great to hear that. I think what I've seen and what I think we try to practice is that data to be data informed and data decision making, but also using data for the good, to exemplify the good work we're doing and good practices. And I think I see that in HR all the time, like, you know, where they see where they've increased their rates of hire and where they're still working on others, that you try to point out the good and things to keep people motivated, including the HR staff and the hiring managers on the program end of things. How we keep engaged is using that data to exemplify the good.
I love it because, you know, I work with a lot of different HR departments, and I've heard of CRMs used for talent acquisition purposes for pipelining candidates. I've heard it used in HR in that way, but I don't think I've heard, and please let me know in the comments if you've done this at your organization, using a CRM to see how you're managing customer interactions when your customer is, let's say, a hiring manager or someone who has questions, how quickly that you're answering their questions. I think that's amazing, and that goes back to the reboot that Michelle was talking about when she was meeting with the CEO on. We've getting some feedback that folks will feel like they're not being heard. And so how do we correct that? So Michelle, you may have something to add to that about kind of the metamorphosis of going from where you were before to now we've got this CRM that actually tracks how quickly certain types of questions are being asked or answered.
Sure. One of the things that, you know, that's a nuance for me, it's always having my staff just continually out fires all day. And we try to move away from that way of working and to be more strategic. And I think, you know, leveraging technology, as Mirta indicated, and identifying these key performance indicators we want to track to really tell us, you know, the story about what's happening with, you know, our organization and with our staff. It's really important to have the data. So I think, you know, with the interventions that we are actually executing with these work groups, it tells us, is it working or is it not working? If we don't have the data to monitor what's actually going on, then it really doesn't make any sense, you know, even instituting or the intervention. So data is critical to whatever you're doing. And I think, you know, with HR, being in the industry for so long, one of the things that I think we've always been very timid about is technology. And, you know, I think in this organization that I'm in right now, you know, even this morning, we meet frequently to talk about technology, to talk about how we can leverage technology. And sometimes you have to make changes, right? We're looking at our applicant tracking system right now. It's a different market, you know, candidates want something that's really fast. Managers want to have information in real time. So you may have to either enhance your current technology or think about having another technology. So the technology piece of it is extremely important, and the data, absolutely critical. It tells the story and it humanizes, you know, everything for us.
Awesome. Love that. And actually, Jessica, she was responding back to something Mirta said. She says, Mirta, that's actually a form of ditation or ditation. I'm not familiar. I looked it up, and it's a form of enrichment. So she's saying that actually is a positive thing that you do that. with the when you just kind of sit and look at the
sky.
Look at the sky. Yeah, that's awesome. Another LinkedIn user, it might be, let me know who this is, Joanne, because it just says LinkedIn user. Meditation or a walk to appreciate my surroundings. I love that. Who else goes on walks in this crowd? Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so Anthony, I want you to give us a quick piece of advice. If we haven't done any type of partnerships recently, we're trying to get that started up. So what would you suggest would be a nice way to approach that, since you did that recently?
Understanding the community and the areas that we're situated in, doing your research on the local community-based organizations and entities that are within the areas that you're looking to extend a relationship with is key. Obviously, as Mirta alluded to, research first before you go in with a plan of action is always key. And just, building those relationships from there and, introducing yourself to the organization. Many people may have heard who we are and what we do as an organization, but to get a full understanding of, the type of talent that we're looking to attract for our programs is where the talent acquisition team comes in to kind of bridge that gap. One of the key components about talent acquisition recruiters is in human resources, our main focus is the human aspect of what we do when we're interacting with candidates and identifying them for those opportunities that we're looking to fulfill. It's not just about having the qualifications and the credentials and the education component. We always look for the compassion, the professionalism, and the understanding of the population and the individuals that we service, because you could have all the credentials and the experience in the world, but if you don't have the heart to do the type of work that we do, then there's that disconnect. So, that's just part of, how we go out and we establish partnerships with community-based organizations, elected officials, and workforce development pieces. But, without researching and understanding the areas, you can't go out there without any plan of action to execute.
That makes sense. Are you opening up the conversation with the leader of the organization? Or are you opening up the conversation with someone who has some kind of public relations? Like, what typically is the person you're going for to have that first conversation, introduce what you guys are trying to do?
In New York City, in this line of work, it's, not what you know, it's who you know. So networking and, engaging, different entities and organizations and how to get, an introduction to those CBOs, whether it's, someone that's in an admin role that could ultimately introduce you to a workforce development piece. It all depends on how you could at least get your foot in the door to introduce yourself and promote the opportunities that you're working.
Love that. And one of the reasons why, well, actually the reason why I was able to actually visit you guys in-house, visit your headquarters, is because of the innovative things you guys are doing on the video side. I would love to hear your feedback on how things have gone so far with the initiatives with the videos. Gurveen, maybe you want to speak to that first, and then Michelle, you can add on to that, kind of the reasons why and how you think it's going. But Gurveen, you want to talk about that first a little bit?
Sure. Well, as you know, digital reality, virtual reality is, on the up and up, and people want to see faces. They want to experience. It's not just about a job posting. It's about actually living that position on a day-to-day basis. And who better than people who actually do this work day in and day out to actually be the advocates and be the brand, the champions, the ambassadors to promote those positions that we're hiring for. And that's where this whole mindset, this whole idea and concept of video job positions requisitions came to play. And of course, we've partnered with HR Maximizer to help us create those digital content. And it's actually brought in a lot of traffic. We've seen our traffic go up on our career page tenfold since then. It's bringing in quality candidates. And that's what really the audience and the candidates, the people want to see. They want to actually hear from people who do this work and not just somebody in the back office, posting and reading a job description. So so far so great.
Wow. Wow. Whew. That's great to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, and then Michelle, how about you? What are the thoughts you wanted to add on why this is important versus just why wouldn't you just ask the employees, hey, let's just turn your iPhone, just make a video for us and we'll post it.
You know, Rollis, I have to say to you that I've been with this organization about 3.5 years now. And in my journeys around with the staff and my conversations, one of the things that really stand out for me with SUS is that everyone who works for this organization, they just have a passion for the work that they do. They want to be there. I would say at least 98% of the staff in this organization just want to be there because of the work that they do, the clients who they serve, the individuals the persons who they care for. It's just a huge passion. So I was always thinking, how could we get this best secret out in the world so that people can know of all the fantastic work that we're doing in this organization? When I came about your video on LinkedIn, I was like, I need to talk to this guy. We need to be out here showcasing all of our great employees and the work that they're doing. So I am really so excited to be in partnership with HR Maximizer on creating these job preview videos. And with the challenges that we are facing in the market for talent, I mean, what is the best way to tell people that this is where you need to be? A true testimonial goes a long way. And not only that, what these videos have done for our staff is to really elevate their level of engagement and make them feel so valued and appreciated because they feel like true ambassadors, according to Gurveen, true champions of this work. And they're able to tell, their true experiences and give their true testimonies as to what it's really like working for an organization like Services for the Underserved. So I am really thrilled just to have, these videos being done and for us to really showcase them and for our staff really to see them. And they feel like superstars every day because they are. So that's my take on that.
I love it. And I tell you, I see 100% what you're seeing. Was we visited a lot of places just in the past two times that I've been there, and you can see it. They're passionate about that job, and they want to show you, like, okay, let me show you this, let's show you that. They're just so passionate about what they're doing, and they want others to know about what they're doing. You can tell they truly want to be there. So I want to applaud you for being a visionary in doing this because it is incredibly important. And then and another thing I've noticed too is that we get a chance to learn things in those interviews that maybe we would not have learned otherwise in terms of, their story, what it is about the organization that they enjoy. And I want to also appreciate how welcoming all of you were, Michelle and Gurveen, Neetu, when I first got there. And then this last time, Mirta, got a chance to meet her. And I know next time I'll get a chance to meet Anthony in person as well as Aaron. But your whole staff, everybody's so welcoming. I think it's kind of like a feel-good moment when we have those interviews. It's just been an amazing vibe all the way. So I got a fun question for you, Michelle. We have to make sure we get a fun question for you. So do you want to open-ended or would you rather?
It doesn't matter. Shoot.
Okay. Let's go with a would you rather. Would you rather be able to speak one foreign language fluently but not be able to read it, or read 6 foreign languages fluently but not be able to speak them?
Oh, I love to talk. I'm a good chatter girl. I'm a chatterbox, so I have to just speak it. I don't care if I can write it. I just want to speak. So
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, in the comments, which one would you choose? Would you choose being able to speak one foreign language fluently but not be able to read it, or read 6 foreign languages fluently but not be able to speak them? Okay, Aaron, I'm curious, which one would you choose on that?
You got to be able to talk. Got to be able to communicate. I would just be honored to have any additional language skills because it is not my strength.
Okay, so you'd rather speak than read?
Yep.
Speak the 1 versus read the 6. Okay. Okay, now, Gurveen, you actually know more than 1 language. So I'm curious. I'm curious to hear actually more than you know more than 1 language because Mirta does too, right? How many are actually multilingual? I'm curious. Wow. Wow, a majority is multilingual. That's amazing. Okay, so Gurveen, do you want to answer that question, or are you going to give you another one?
Sure, I'll echo what Michelle and Aaron said. I'm a chatterbox myself. I love talking. I may not come across as such, but I can be really chatty, and I want the ability to speak and be multilingual. I speak 6, 7 languages. I always say they're all different Indian dialects. They're kind of no use here, but overseas, I love to brag about it. One of the examples, just recently, I was vacationing in India a couple of weeks ago, and attending a friend's wedding, and all my friends from New York were attending the wedding too, and none of them spoke the languages, and it was my moment to shine. So it really came in handy.
That's awesome. Anthony, what about you? Would you rather speak one additional language fluently or be able to read 6 of them?
I mean, that's just an obvious, communication is key. And in this line of work, you got to have the gift of gab. So, it's okay if I can't read the language. If I could speak it, then sky's the limit.
Okay, thank you. That was awesome. By the way, Jessica chimed back in. It's meditation. So she corrected, it's meditation. So she said that what you did, Mirta, was a form of meditation. She thought that was good. LinkedIn user says speak fluently. Who is that, Joanne? If you don't mind, I want to make sure I say who that is. She says, he or she says, thank you for all the great time today, great information. Melanie says, thank you for sharing all of this great insight. Great to learn from all of you and how successful you're driving change at SUS. I think it is appropriate that we show one of the videos. What do you guys think? Let's show one of them. So guys, we're going to show you one of the videos. It's only about 50 seconds, so it'll be real quick.
My name is Elan Kwashi. I'm a program director, and I oversee a program called Restore and Recovery. We train individuals and program staff on practical harm reduction. We teach them how to respond to an opioid overdose with the use of naloxone, and we also train them on how to test their drug supply with fentanyl test strips. We also provide support to programs with connecting individuals to behavioral health services, employment services, grief counseling. I believe what makes SUS unique is the ability to treat the individual as whole. We believe definitely in respecting our individuals, providing a supportive culture, continuous quality of care, and to make sure that the services that we actually are providing is essential to the day-to-day work that we do.
I love that. That was awesome. So guys, this has been a great show today. I cannot believe this hour. This has flown by. I was like, wow, I had so much more stuff I wanted to talk about, but it's just flown by. Really quickly, what's the best way for folks if they have questions about making that transformation? They just want some solid advice. What's the best way to contact you? We can go. I don't know how we want to do this one by one, or if we want to if you want to speak for the group, Michelle. What do you think is the best way to do this?
Well, we are very present on LinkedIn. I think all of my colleagues, the entire team. So you guys can certainly, send us a connection on LinkedIn, and we'd be sure to respond to you. You can inbox us, and we'll respond to you with, your request. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
Awesome. That's great. And there's a couple other quick comments we had come in. Thank you for sharing all of this. We have Lisa, I would rather read 6 languages. Okay. Knowledge is power. I learn more from others telling what they know. Interesting. Alexis, she says, great job, SUS. Yes. Great job to you guys. Thanks for giving our staff the opportunity to share our learning expertise. My pleasure. I feel like I learned a lot through this process. Guys, hopefully you have too who are watching. Let us know what resonated with you the most from what you saw today. And I just want to thank you, all of you, for what you do for the community, what you do for the organization, and the fact that you're giving back by sharing with others, on this show says a lot about each of you's character. So thank you very much for what you've done today. And now we're going to say bye to everyone in the audience. We're going to say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
And as we're closing out, just really quick, Michelle, how was it? Do you feel this is your first time with us? So how was the experience?
So much fun. I want to do it again. Can we do it next week?
Yeah.
I'll second that. I agree. This was a lot of fun.
We appreciate it. And thank you to the audience. We appreciate your time.
Yes, absolutely. So stress level's not there anymore, right? You're relaxed now.
No,
Everybody's relaxed?
No. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So Joanne, she's going to cut us off here in a second so we don't get cut off midstream. But you guys did fantastic today. All of you. I mean, it was just double thumbs up. I wish